Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is www.black-duck.com. You find the videos and the PDFs of the code there in most cases. The video is tuples. A tuple is a collection of multiple items. The items can be of the same data type or of different data types. For a visual, you might think of a record in a database table or a row in a spreadsheet. In fact, a tuple is a great tool for handling a series of database records. And we'll get to that down the road. To demonstrate how a tuple might be used, I read a file consisting of stock market information. Each stock consisted of 5 pieces: stock code, name, quantity, price, and investment amount. All this information was loaded from a text file. Consequently, each piece of information was in a string format. Using a tuple, each stock record was sent to a method where the numeric data was converted to a double data type. The result of each record was then applied to a struct, and the struct was added to a list. Watch. We covered quite a bit so far in structured data types, and finally going to take a look at the last piece, and that's called tuples. And basically, a tuple is a container that can hold multiple pieces of data. Each item stored in a tuple can be of the same data type or different data types. You can create a tuple by enclosing a comma-separated list of items in a set of parentheses. For example, we got var machine part, we're going to call it, equals 23 Phillips screwdriver 2595. Where machine part is the name of the tuple, 23 is an integer, maybe a part number, Phillips screwdriver is a string, maybe a product description, and 2595 is a double, maybe a price. Another example, we could use var numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have a tuple named numbers here, which contains 4 integers. And the items stored are called fields. There's no limit to the number of fields a tuple can contain. So you can get quite a few. We've got 4 here. We had 3 in the last one. You can have 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever. It depends on just what your program needs and how you're going to use them. By default, the names of the fields are items 1, items 2, and so on down the line. To give you an idea of what we might be talking about here, we could think of this particular spreadsheet. We're going to use this a little later in an example. But if you look at all these little pieces here, one row really would represent a tuple, so to speak. There's a code, a name, a quantity, a price, and a market value for currency right in here. And all these are different data types. We've got strings, we've got numbers, numerics, decimals, and so on. So that could be thought of as a tuple. You'll encounter these things when we work with databases as well. So we're getting to the point where we're seeing how we can actually collect things, put them together, and look at a piece of information that looks like this. So this is where this is probably a better visual for you to see, understand what a tuple might be. It could be used in something like this. Now, it's just one row. It's nothing else. You use the field names to access a tuple's fields. For example, var machine part 23 screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver 2595. If we want to get at this data, we could use message box to show those little pieces that are in there. Message box I show machine part dot item 1 to string. It knows to go to the first piece here. Machine part item 2, it's a string, so we're just going to grab it. We don't need to do anything about it. And 2595 is message box dot show machine part item 3 to string with a C in there. Notice there's a little bit of a difference here. We've been talking about arrays and everything so far, always starting with 0. These crazy things start with 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3 instead of 0, 1, and 2. So that might lead to some confusion. We certainly want to keep the concept of 0, 1, 2, 3 for most numeric things. But in the case of tuples, they're starting each field as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You can declare a tuple variable by basically, if you need to declare a tuple to accept data during the course of a running program. For example, you want to input stuff via text box or file. You need to explicitly provide the data type in the declaration statement. You can't use that var. We saw var here a little while ago. You saw that var piece in here. That's fine if you're setting it up with data in it inside your program, but ordinarily if you're going to be setting up the type so you won't actually use this. So we're going to refer to our previous example. We'd use machine part tuple as a file. It would be int string double machine part. In other words, we'd put the 23 in here, that screwdriver would go in here, and the 2595 would go in the double right here. So int string double machine part. This declares the variable, or the tuple variable. And we assign a values by machine part equals then 23 Phillips screwdriver 25. You can use parentheses then to load all pieces in there and make that work. You can pass a tuple in a method. If you have pieces in there, here's where we're describing our tuple. Int string double is sitting right over here. It's called machine part. And then we're assigning pieces to it. Machine part equal 23, Phillips screwdriver 2595. If we want to print the machine part, we simply print the tuple machine part. Print the tuple is a method that I might have created, you might have created, anybody might create this, called print the tuple, and it's going to be passing it the tuple, the machine part in here. So the tuple is created, values are added to the item. The print the tuple routine is called, and it's called passing the tuple to a parameter list. And let's take a look at that print the tuple event. The tuple needs to be declared in the called routine. In other words, we're going to bring it in. Here's our print the tuple routine. We've got our parentheses for what we're going to be placing in there. And inside it, we have our tuple. We're describing one. Int, string, double, called our parts. So this is identical to the machine parts tuple we described before. But since we're passing that, we need to expect the int, the string, and the double to come forward, and we'll call it our parts. We can call anything we want in here because we're going to use it local to this particular routine here. Once we have it in here, we can say LBL part number text equals our parts dot item 1 to string. It's going to take that 23 we saw and put it out as a number. Format with no digits in the decimal places here. LBL part name dot text equals our parts item 2. And LBL part price dot text equals our part item 3 to string currency. We're going to format it that way. This is, of course, assuming we have these labels all here that are going to actually do that. So our routine will actually be doing this. So if you think about this, we could have that machine part tuple grabbing data and constantly coming to this particular routine and printing out a bunch of stuff over and over and over again. We'll see that in a bit. In fact, let's do that. We're going to take a look at a program. I've got something kind of created. It's similar to what we did with the dictionary, but I've added a few fields. We're going to use the same kind of concept for this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this form I've got here with stuff I've pre-prepared so we don't have to go through the process of building this all from scratch and going from there. So I'm going to grab a whole bunch of things from another form and bring it over here and lay it on here. And what I've got is I've got an investment display. You saw this in the dictionary demo. We're just calling it that. It's nothing more than a label. Call label 3. We have stock code, label 5, stock name, number of shares, invested amount, price per share. These are all basically formatted. Got them set for bold and 10. And I think I arranged them so that they would have the name in their middle centers where they're actually going to be applying here. And then I just line them all up. Then we have this. We've got this stock code, LBL stock code. We've got LBL stock name, LBL quantity, LBL market value, LBL price. So we've got that thing right here. We're going to display stocks from that list you saw a little while ago. Remember that spreadsheet we just looked at before? Those things are going to pop in here. And we're going to do that by loading it in through form load like we did in the dictionary piece. But once we're there, we're going to have the ability to navigate through a list that's going to have these pieces in it. We're going to use the tuple to read our file and apply it to the list. You'll see that going on as we move forward. Then we have an exit button sitting here. The navigation buttons are nothing more than basically button top, button bottom. We got a button back, button forward. We can cruise through there. And I've got some graphics in here. You can look at any one of these things. And I basically used the system drawing piece and copied an arrow. You can pull this off the internet or wherever to get some arrows or however you want to do it and put them in place through there. I think I used this in another program. The Anything database is using this, so you can check those things out as well and go into detail on how you actually put that together. So we've got this here. What we want to do is we want to use a form load to grab our data in. Once we've got our data in place, we're going to be able to navigate it and then let it appear in here. So how are we going to actually do that thing? Well, for starters, let's go to our code, take a look. Here's our code. It's got nothing in it right now. We're going to create a structure because we're going to use that. It seemed like the best way to do this thing. So up in this area right in here, I'm going to create the structure that I'm going to call all stocks. And it's going to look something like this. I'm going to lay some things in here just to kind of save some time. But I'm going to put 5 fields in here. I'm going to put in the string for stock code, stock name, the quantity, the price, and the market value, representing what we see here. So that's going to be my structure that I'm actually going to be grabbing. I'm then going to create a list. So right down here, I'm going to contain this in a list. And I'm going to call that list my stocks. It's going to be list. It's going to have all stocks in it. It's going to use that structure. It's a list of structures so that this structure is going to be repeated over and over again to contain everything in that spreadsheet. It looks like this. So we're going to have those things in place. The stock code is going to go in. The name's going to go in here. The quantity is going to be sitting over here. The price and the market code. We're going to convert this to a tab delimited file so we can actually read this thing. And that tab delimited file is going to look something like this. When we bring it into the spreadsheet and actually create it so we can see that it looks like this thing. You can kind of expand it and take a look at that. And then we copy this to a text file. We end up with this. There's our stock file. It's tab delimited. we're going to have 5 different little fields coming in through our read. So let's pull this off to the side. We can look at that thing later. The next thing we want to do is we want to have 2 things. We want to have a record pointer and a record count because we're going to be able to navigate through this file. So we want to create that. So I'm going to actually create 2 integers, which are going to be sitting right here. We'll call int record pointer, set to 0, int record count equals 0. So the record pointer is going to be a position in our list. When we're up navigating through our list, we can point to one. And we'll have a number of positions, and a number of records in the file is going to be our counters, where the max is, where we can stop. It's basically grabbing count off the list file is what it's actually doing. We could do that. We could just grab the count from the list file and use it at the time, but it's nice to have it in a variable so we can just refer to int record count. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back here, and what I want to do is I want to go to my form load. Okay, so we're going to double click on this, and we're going to create a form load event. We'll do that, and there's our form load event right here. This is where we're going to do all our work. We're going to copy in this file, this text file we have here, and bring it in. So we need to, of course, create our system IO. See if it's up here. I don't see it up here. We're going to grab it, place it in place. So there it is. Now we can actually use it. In our form load, then, we're going to actually write that data. We don't need the toolbox anymore, so let's pull that off. And what I want to do is I'm going to create, just like I did last time, we're going to have a string full record. And this is used to gather one line of data. Then I'm going to create my tuple. My tuple is going to look like this. I'm going to say string, 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 stock record. This will be the stock record tuple. So what we're doing, we're setting this up, and notice it's all strings. Why is it all strings? It's all strings because we're bringing in a text file. This guy right here. Even these numbers are strings to begin with. So we want to bring that in. We'll have something that's going to convert it so we can properly put them in the all stock structure later as we read this thing in. We'll take a look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my try catch. Put a try in here, and down here we're going to put a catch. And our message box will be, oops, our catch is going to be message box dot show ex dot message. That'll display a system error. So that means that we can now go ahead and put our open and our close and bring in our data inside this area right in here. This is going to be our process, our data piece in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open a file. So we'll go down here and we'll say open a file. That means stream reader is input file, and we're going to call it stock file, just like we did last time in the dictionary piece. Then we're going to set up our character delimiter array so we can read these tabs. So we'll say char, just like we did in the dictionary piece. Delim is equal to, we'll set up a brace, single quote, \T for the tab, and then close that thing off. And that sets up our delimiter for tab. Then we can open our file. Input stock file is equal to file.openText stock file .txt stock file, quote, stock file .txt. There's that guy right here. And we're going to place this thing inside our debug folder. I'm going to do a file save on this right now. And we'll step out to that area. Here's our tuple demo. Go into our bin folder, our debug folder, and we'll copy this file into it. File save as. I'm going to do save as here. And we'll copy this right into the, there it is, it's in there right now. So we've got our file sitting in there. So we've got our open here. What we can do real nicely right now is, since all this is open is done, we can go down here. We can actually say / close the file. We can put it in down here. Oh, we're doing it after a while. We're all done with our while loop. So let's hang out. Let's put it down here. Just kind of leave it like this for now. And I want to put it in there. Because inside here, we're going to put our while loop. So we're going to open the file, do our work on it, and then close it. And the while loop is going to do all the work. So let's make space for this thing and create a while input stock file dot end of stream is set equal to false, and put our braces. So our while loop is going to go in here. Now, because we're using a tuple, we're going to make this process of bringing in this data a little bit easier. And I'll show you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to say string full record equals input read line. We're going to read that whole line in. So let's just read that line. Read a line of data. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to say string are tokens, tokens. We're going to make a tokens array, a string array, and it's going to be equal to str full record dot split the lim. Spell record wrong. Parse out the 5 fields. 5 fields. The 5 string fields called tokens. That's the array. Remember, all the data we're coming in from the text file is our strings, even though they are numbers. So we've got them in here. So the 5 pieces are sitting right in there. We're now going to apply them to our tuple. And we do that by saying stock record, that's our tuple, is equal to tokens 0, tokens 1, tokens 2, tokens 3, tokens 4, and that's it. Got the right number in parentheses? I do. Yep. And we can then say move the 5 strings to the tuple. So that puts them in place. Now they're inside the stock record thing. Now we're going to simply add that to our list. How do we do that? Well, we could do it here, but let's use a routine to do that. So I'm going to say add to list the stock record. This calls add to list and pass the tuple. So it's not created yet, so we're getting an error here. So it's not created here. So we've got that in place. So that's going to be all we need to do. We can actually get rid of these blank lines right here then too. And it puts us in place. So we've got it, everything's in place. Now we're opening our file, we're closing our file, and we've got our work done. So this is going to go over and over again. It's going to read that string file, it's a read a line, convert it to the stock record tuple, and pass it to the stock record add to list so we can parse it out and put it into our string here and actually add it to our list of all stocks. So we'll do that in a separate routine. Rather than complicate this and make it messy, we'll just call add to list and do it that way. So how do we do that? Well, we create the routine. We do that right here. Under this private void piece right here, we're going to create one called private void add to list. We're going to set up our parameters in here. We're going to set up a tuple in here. So we're going to say string, comma string, comma string, comma string, 1, 2, 3, 4, comma string, and then call it stock tuple. So we can pass all those parameters into this particular thing. We now have to put in here our braces too. Let's go ahead and do that real quickly. I screwed that up, didn't I? But beautifully. Yeah, these go down. Let's just do this. That should put it in place for us. And let's give ourselves a break here. Did it like this? I didn't like that at all. Let's. Oh, you know why? Because I don't want this in it. It doesn't want a semicolon here. We're creating a routine. There we go. Now it's happy. Don't mind me. They can be programmed forever. You still make all these stupid mistakes. Okay, so we got our add to list thing here. What are we going to do with this thing? Well, to do this thing, we're going to want to go ahead and fill the structure, a structure. We're going to create a brand new structure here. var new record is equal to new all stocks. We're going to create an instance of all stocks. Then we're going to say new record dot str stock code is equal to stock stock tuple dot item 1. Move tuple item 1 to stock code. What we're doing here is new record, got to spell it correctly. We're creating this new record all stocks, which is going to look identical to this. Okay, but we're going to call it new stocks because it's going to be used right here. It's a new record, but it's going to be based on the all stock piece right here. And it has these 5 variables in it. 2 strings, 3 doubles are going to be in there. I want this to be I think we do want quantity to be because we can have, in stocks you can have 1.2 shares. So a double is fine here. So 3 doubles are going to be coming in. So that's what we're actually doing here. Then we're going to add this to the list when we get through to it. So basically what we're doing now is we're going to be copying all of these pieces. Here it's item 1, item 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're all strings here. We're going to copy them in to our string, double, double, double. That's what we're going to be doing here. So now we want to go ahead and say new record dot str stock name is equal to item 2. New record dot str, new record double, dbl quantity is equal to double dot parse stock tuple item 3. So it's grabbing that string that we got right here and parsing it into a double. We'll make a comment on that. Move tuple item 3 to quantity after converting to a double. And we'll do the same with this. New record dot dbl price is double parse stock tuple item 4, and new record dot dbl market value double parse stock tuple number 5. That brings all the pieces in. But now we want to take this now at this point and add it to our list. So we simply say my stocks, which is the list, add new record. And this adds the structure record to the list. Then we want to say int record count is equal to my stock deck count. So update total records in list. So we know what it is. We can use that thing then. So that places that. So that happens every single time we read a record. So we go out to the add list here, do this thing, and then come back up, go through our while loop, grab the next guy. Each time, let's go down there and parse this, create a brand new var new record, and parse it and put it up into the list so our list gets populated with all this good stuff in it. Now, the other thing I want to do is since we are going through this process and doing this add list, I also want to go ahead and when I'm all done and I finish this try catch, we're all done here, I would like to do a couple things. I want to point myself to the first record, int record pointer equals 0. I want to call a fill labels routine to actually place us in our form. And then I want to update the user message, which I have on the file, and say top file is equal to record 0. So tell them where we are. I didn't show you that. There is a field right in here called LBL user message. So when I navigate, it's going to show us where we are in the file. So notice we have an error here, fill labels. We don't have that routine written. We need to actually create that. So we're going to do that. And we're going to do that by simply creating another routine. Right down here, we'll simply say private void fill labels. And there's our routine setup. Our error goes away. We now need to simply do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this and we're going to say our LBL stock code, that's our label up there, dot text is equal to my stocks, this is the list, 0. Actually, my stocks int record pointer dot str stock code. LBL stock name stock name dot text is equal to my stocks int record pointer dot str stock name. LBL price dot text is equal to my stocks int record pointer dot dbl price to string and convert that to currency. LBL quantity dot text is equal to my stocks int record pointer dot dbl quantity to string, except we want to make this an N2. So it's going to be a numeric value with 2 decimal places, and LBL market value, which I have spelled wrong, got a capital L in there, we'll just live with it, is equal to my stocks int record pointer dot dbl market value to string, and this one also will be a quote C end it here and be done with that. And that puts all our pieces into place here. And that's all we need. File save. Well, it's not all we need, but it's enough to make this thing run. So let's take a look, see where we are. It did load everything. Apple's our first record. Let's take a look at that record we've got here, see where we are. If we look at stockfile.txt, yeah, Apple's the first one. It's bringing in the 62309. It actually rounded in this. So we said we wanted 2-digit decimal places on that thing. It converted the $14,000 to, truncated that to 2 decimal, put a dollar sign in there, and the price per share, 233.1601 is 16 in here, and we see tuple file record is equal to 0. We haven't programmed the navigation. Otherwise, this is done. It grabbed everything. Our tuple did the work for us in bringing in, making this while loop a little bit easier to work with. We used our tab delimited thing to break it in pieces. Our stock record then became 4 strings. That's our tuple. We loaded those 4 strings into there. When you passed our tuple to our routine, which then broke it down, grabbed it, broke it down, and converted all those things to doubles. We could have, all this stuff could have been in here, but it makes it messy. This way we get it off to a routine that's going to add it to the list, going to fill the labels, and do all that kind of stuff. All we need now to do is just simply do navigation. That's easy. Oh, I didn't, and the exit button too, apparently, so we're going to do that. Let's do that real quickly and get that in place there. We'll do our exit button. Close file. This dot close, there it is, and then we've got that in place. Now, the navigation buttons are fairly easy to do. I've got them named button top. I think I showed you before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to code those things very quickly. We're going to take button top right away, and we're going to double click on it. That gives us our code here. I'm going to lay code in here and explain what it is. All we need to do for button top is point to the 0 record in our list. Call our fill labels routine, which is right here, and then tell us we're at the top of file. That's all we're going to do there. If we want to go to the bottom of the file, click on this. We'll bring in this code. We make the record pointer equal to the record count, the number of records in there, minus 1. Because remember, we're starting with 0. So if we've got 20 records in there, it's 0 through 19. So this will bring it down to our last record, called fill labels again, and tell them we're at the bottom of the file. Very simple. If we want to go forward, we'll click on this, and forward looks something like this. It adds 1 to the record pointer, so we're pointing to the next record sequence. It then checks to see if the record pointer is equal to record count. If it is, we're at the bottom of the file. And so then we need to actually make it equal to record pointer less than 1. So if we have 20 records in there and record counts as 20, we don't want to be at record 20, we'll be at record 19, because 0 through 19 is 20. And this does that for us by subtracting 1. Call our fill labels and tell everybody record where we are in the file. Same thing with button backwards. It's very similar. We subtract 1 from the record pointer, but if we happen to go less than 0, we don't want that to happen. If it's less than 0, we want to make it 0 and stay at the record pointer, and then fill the labels and do that. So that's all we need to do for that particular piece. And that's it. Do our file save on this. Let's go to the top of our file so we can look at this and we actually see it here. Run it. Well, I got a build there. Okay, we got something here. No, what's our wrong? Line 123 it doesn't like. Let's find out what 123 is. Oh, we got an extra thing here. Let's just get rid of that. That should put us in place there. File save. Save all. I'm going to trust it that it won't have any more errors. So I'll click on this thing and we'll go to our start again. And we'll go ahead and run. And there it is. Yeah, it's working fine. So there's our piece there. We've created our all stocks structure, which is holding all those pieces in here. We created a list that's going to hold a list of structures, all the same name. And we created a tuple down here, which we're going to use to grab our 5 pieces that are coming in from a string text file. We're passing that string text file to another routine, which grabs it and converts things to the right kinds of data types we're actually using there, 2 strings and 3 doubles. And then we're able to do this thing. We have our navigation here. We can go to the top of the file, which we're at. We can go to the bottom of the file, which goes down to zoom. That's record number 28. And we can go backwards by navigating back 27, 26, 25, 24, and go through those pieces. Go all the way to the top, and then go forward. Advanced micro devices, Amazon, so on down the line. And again, these are stock numbers that, are sitting in a static file. They're not changing all the time, so these are not accurate for day-to-day day-to-day service. But if you had a file, something like this, and you wanted those things for a one-time shot, this will do it. And it also shows you that you could put anything in here. Stock numbers are one thing. It could be baseball scores. It could be stats from football players, whatever you wanted in here, with different names going on there. Anything you want, you can navigate through and use the tuple then to bring that stuff in, and use the tuple again to pass it to a routine that'll create the right pieces you want for your structure. So interesting program. We're using actually two structures. We're using a tuple, and we're using the structure itself, the struct itself, to make this thing work. So basically that's tuples in a nutshell and how you might be able to use them. Well, that's something that made the file load code much easier to read. And this is a nice summary to the section on structures, as we got to use the struct again as well as the tuple. When you look at the applications of this section, you'll see how structures can be pretty effective when incorporated into a database-like program. Well, we still have much more to cover. Both databases and classes are waiting in the wings. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance, and please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.